There is a question that has fascinated humanity for centuries. What does it truly mean to live your best life? Many people spend years believing the answer lies somewhere outside themselves. They chase wealth, status, recognition, and the approval of others, convinced that happiness will arrive the moment they achieve one more goal. Yet after reaching those milestones, many discover the same feeling of emptiness quietly waiting for them. This is because the quality of your life is determined less by what you possess and more by the person you become. Master yourself before trying to master the world, because the greatest battles you will ever fight are not against other people, but within your own mind. Human nature encourages us to focus on external victories. We want recognition, influence, success, and achievement. We measure progress through promotions, possessions, and the opinions of others. Yet none of these accomplishments can create lasting fulfillment if you remain unable to govern your own thoughts, emotions, and actions. A person who gains power without self-control often becomes a prisoner of pride, fear, anger, or insecurity. Real strength begins when you develop authority over yourself before seeking authority over your circumstances. Self-mastery starts with awareness. Most people move through life reacting automatically to situations without stopping to examine why they think, feel, or behave the way they do. They allow temporary emotions to make permanent decisions. Anger controls their words, fear controls their opportunities, and comfort controls their ambitions. Human psychology naturally seeks the easiest path because the mind prefers conserving energy. This is why procrastination, excuses, and unhealthy habits can become so deeply rooted. They provide immediate comfort while quietly stealing long-term potential. Mastering yourself means interrupting these automatic patterns and replacing them with deliberate choices. Instead of reacting impulsively, you pause and think. Instead of allowing frustration to control your actions, you choose patience. Instead of avoiding discomfort, you recognize that meaningful growth usually begins where comfort ends. Every small decision strengthens the person you are becoming. Discipline is another essential part of self-mastery. Many people wait until they feel motivated before taking action, but motivation is unreliable because emotions constantly change. Discipline allows you to continue working even when excitement disappears. It means honoring your commitments on difficult days, not only on easy ones. Waking up to pursue your goals, continuing to learn when progress feels slow, exercising when you would rather rest, and remaining honest when dishonesty would seem easier are all expressions of self-mastery. These actions may appear ordinary, yet repeated consistently, they create extraordinary character. Self-mastery also requires emotional intelligence. You cannot control every event that happens in your life, but you can influence how you respond to it. Criticism does not have to destroy your confidence. Failure does not have to become your identity. Success does not have to become your ego. The more control you gain over your inner world, the less power external circumstances have over your peace of mind. Relationships improve because you listen before reacting, communicate with greater maturity, and stop expecting others to manage your emotions. Professionally, self-mastery increases reliability because your actions are guided by principles rather than moods. Personally, it creates deep confidence because you trust yourself to make thoughtful decisions even during uncertainty. Over time, you realize that the strongest people are not those who dominate everyone around them, but those who have learned to govern themselves with wisdom, patience, humility, and consistency. They understand that lasting influence begins with personal integrity, and that every meaningful achievement rests upon the quiet foundation of disciplined habits, emotional balance, honest self-reflection, and unwavering commitment to becoming better than they were yesterday. When you master yourself first, the challenges of the outside world become easier to face because your greatest source of strength no longer depends on changing circumstances, but on the steady character you have intentionally built from within. Choose purpose over comfort every single day because the direction of your life is determined less by the goals you set and more by the choices you repeat when no one is watching. Human nature is naturally drawn toward comfort. The mind prefers familiar routines, immediate rewards, and situations that require the least amount of effort. Comfort offers temporary relief from uncertainty, but it often comes with a hidden cost. It slowly convinces you that there is always another day to begin, another opportunity to improve, and another chance to pursue your potential. Days become weeks, weeks become months, and eventually years pass while the life you imagined remains only an idea. Purpose demands something very different. It asks you to act even when the path is difficult, to remain disciplined when motivation disappears, and to continue moving forward despite setbacks that make giving up seem easier. Every meaningful achievement begins with choosing long-term fulfillment over short-term satisfaction. Human psychology often struggles with delayed rewards because the brain naturally values immediate pleasure more than distant benefits. This is why procrastination feels comfortable in the moment, even though it creates stress later. It is why unhealthy habits become easy to repeat, while positive habits require effort in the beginning. Purpose teaches you to reverse this pattern. Instead of asking what feels easiest today, you begin asking what will make you stronger tomorrow. This small shift in thinking changes every area of your life. Reading a book instead of endlessly seeking distractions may not feel exciting at first, but over time it expands your knowledge and sharpens your thinking. Exercising regularly requires effort today, yet it creates strength and health that benefit you for years. Saving money instead of spending impulsively demands discipline in the present, but it provides freedom and stability in the future. These choices appear ordinary, yet repeated consistently, they shape an extraordinary life. Choosing purpose also requires learning to say no. Every distraction, unnecessary commitment, and unhealthy habit competes for your attention. Time is limited, and every yes to something meaningless becomes a no to something meaningful. Protecting your purpose means guarding your energy, focusing on what truly matters, and refusing to allow temporary pleasures to steal lasting opportunities. This does not mean rejecting joy or living without balance. It means understanding the difference between healthy rest and endless avoidance, between recreation and distraction, between peace and complacency. Relationships improve when purpose becomes your guide, because you begin surrounding yourself with people who encourage growth instead of encouraging excuses. Professionally, purpose helps you remain committed during difficult seasons because your motivation is connected to something greater than temporary success. Personally, it builds confidence because every disciplined choice becomes evidence that you are capable of honoring your own values. Over time, purpose transforms your identity. You stop seeing yourself as someone who only acts when inspired and begin seeing yourself as someone who acts because your principles demand it. Challenges no longer appear as reasons to quit, but as opportunities to strengthen your character. Looking back, you realize that your best decisions were rarely the easiest ones. They were the moments when you chose discipline over delay, courage over comfort, growth over convenience, and purpose over temporary pleasure. Those quiet daily decisions gradually shaped the person you became, proving that the greatest life is not created through occasional moments of inspiration, but through the unwavering commitment to choose what matters most every single day. Protect your time because it is your most valuable asset. Unlike money, influence, or possessions, time can never be earned back once it has been spent. Human nature often creates the illusion that there will always be another day, another opportunity, and another chance to begin. This belief encourages procrastination, unnecessary distractions, and habits that quietly consume hours without creating meaningful progress. Many people guard their finances with great care, yet they give away their time freely to activities, conversations, and obligations that contribute nothing to the life they truly want. They become busy without becoming productive, constantly moving but rarely advancing. The tragedy is not simply that time is lost. The tragedy is that every hour wasted is an hour that could have been invested in becoming stronger, wiser, healthier, or more capable. Every day presents the same 24 hours to every person, yet the difference between an ordinary life and an extraordinary one often comes down to how those hours are used. Human psychology naturally seeks immediate gratification. The mind prefers entertainment over effort, comfort over challenge, and convenience over discipline because these choices provide instant satisfaction. The problem is that immediate pleasure often steals long-term fulfillment. A few minutes of distraction may seem harmless, but repeated every day, those minutes become months and eventually years. The greatest opportunities are rarely lost in a single dramatic mistake. They are often lost through countless small decisions that seem insignificant at the time. Protecting your time means becoming intentional about where your attention goes. Attention is the gateway through which time is spent. Whatever consistently captures your attention gradually shapes your character and your future. If your attention is constantly pulled toward meaningless distractions, your potential quietly remains undeveloped. If your attention is directed toward learning, disciplined action, meaningful relationships, and purposeful work, your life begins changing in ways that are impossible to achieve through wishful thinking alone. This requires learning the power of saying no. Not every invitation deserves acceptance. Not every conversation deserves your energy. Not every opportunity deserves your commitment. Wise people understand that every yes carries an invisible cost because it requires time that can never be used elsewhere. They choose carefully, understanding that protecting their priorities is more important than pleasing everyone around them. Time management is therefore not merely about organizing a schedule. It is about organizing your values. The way you spend your hours reveals what truly matters to you far more honestly than the promises you make. Relationships also improve when you respect your time because you become more present with the people who genuinely matter instead of giving everyone only fragments of your attention. Professionally, protecting your time allows deep focus, creative thinking, and steady progress, while others remain trapped in constant interruption. Personally, it creates peace because your days become guided by purpose instead of reaction. Over time, the disciplined use of time produces knowledge, confidence, financial stability, emotional maturity, and opportunities that careless living rarely creates. Looking back, you realize that success was never built in a single remarkable day, but through thousands of ordinary days where you chose meaningful action over meaningless distraction. By protecting your time with intention, discipline, and clarity, you honor the one resource that every human possesses in equal measure yet can never replace, ensuring that each day becomes another investment in the person you are determined to become rather than another opportunity quietly slipping away forever. Build relationships that strengthen your character, not your ego, because the people closest to you quietly influence the person you become. Human nature is deeply shaped by an environment. The conversations you have, the attitudes you observe, and the values you are surrounded by gradually become part of your own thinking, often without you realizing it. This is why relationships are never neutral. They either encourage growth or reinforce stagnation. They either challenge you to become wiser, more disciplined, and more responsible, or they make it easier to settle for comfort, excuses, and short-term pleasure. Many people choose relationships based only on familiarity, popularity, or immediate enjoyment, but these qualities alone are not enough to build a meaningful life. A relationship should not only make you feel accepted, it should also inspire you to become a better version of yourself. Human psychology naturally enjoys being praised. Compliments, admiration, and approval feel rewarding because they satisfy the ego. However, there is a significant difference between someone who constantly tells you what you want to hear and someone who respectfully tells you what you need to hear. The first may protect your comfort, but the second protects your future. Relationships that strengthen your character are built on honesty, accountability, and mutual respect. They celebrate your achievements without encouraging arrogance. They support your dreams while also reminding you to remain disciplined and humble. They are willing to challenge your thinking when your decisions are driven by emotion instead of wisdom. This kind of honesty is not always comfortable, but it is invaluable because growth rarely happens without correction. Your ego seeks constant validation, but your character seeks continuous improvement. The people who truly care about you understand this difference. They are not impressed by appearances alone. They pay attention to integrity, consistency, and personal responsibility. They encourage you to keep your promises, manage your emotions wisely, and remain committed to your values even when no one is watching. At the same time, these relationships require the same qualities from you. You cannot expect to receive honesty while refusing to give it. You cannot seek loyalty while acting without integrity. Healthy relationships are built through mutual effort, where both individuals are committed to helping each other grow rather than simply making each other feel comfortable. Human nature sometimes resists these relationships because they demand humility. Accepting constructive criticism, admitting mistakes, and changing unhealthy habits require emotional maturity. Yet these moments become turning points because they replace pride with wisdom. Professionally, surrounding yourself with people who value excellence raises your own standards. Their discipline encourages your discipline. Their curiosity inspires your learning. Their resilience reminds you to continue during difficult seasons. Personally, relationships built on character create emotional stability because they are not dependent on appearances, status, or temporary success. They remain strong through challenges because they are rooted in shared principles instead of changing circumstances. Over time, you begin noticing that the quality of your relationships reflects the quality of your life. The people around you influence your habits, your confidence, your perspective, and your decisions more than you may realize. By intentionally building relationships that strengthen your character instead of feeding your ego, you surround yourself with individuals who encourage honesty over pride, growth over comfort, responsibility over excuses, and wisdom over popularity, creating an environment where everyone becomes stronger not because they constantly receive praise, but because they continuously inspire one another to live with greater integrity, discipline, and purpose every single day. Turn every setback into a lesson that increases your wisdom, because the difference between people who grow and people who remain stuck is rarely the number of failures they experience. The real difference lies in how they interpret those failures. Human nature often views setbacks as signs that something has gone wrong, that success is slipping away, or that personal ability is not enough. When plans collapse, relationships end, careers take unexpected turns, or opportunities disappear, the first reaction is usually disappointment. This response is natural because loss creates emotional pain, and the mind instinctively tries to avoid pain whenever possible. The danger begins when disappointment becomes a permanent identity instead of a temporary experience. Many people allow one failure to convince them they are incapable, one rejection to define their worth, or one mistake to determine the direction of their entire future. They stop moving, not because they lack potential, but because they stop believing that growth is still possible. Wisdom begins where self-pity ends. Every setback carries information that success often hides. Success rewards your current approach, while failure forces you to examine it. It asks difficult questions. What habits need to change? What knowledge is missing? Which decisions were guided by emotion rather than careful thinking? Human psychology naturally seeks quick answers and someone to blame because accepting responsibility is uncomfortable. It feels easier to point toward bad luck, difficult circumstances, or the actions of other people. While those factors may have influenced the outcome, they do not remove your ability to learn. The people who continue growing understand that every challenge contains something valuable if they are willing to search for it honestly. They become students of their own experiences. Instead of repeating the same mistakes, they carefully observe what happened, adjust their thinking, and return stronger than before. This process gradually transforms failure from an enemy into a teacher. Every setback expands your understanding in ways comfort never can. A failed business teaches financial discipline, patience, and strategic thinking. A broken relationship reveals the importance of communication, boundaries, emotional maturity, and self-respect. A missed opportunity reminds you that preparation matters long before opportunity arrives. None of these lessons feel pleasant while they are happening, yet many people later discover that their greatest periods of growth began during the moments they once wished had never happened. Setbacks also develop resilience because they prove that survival is possible. The first disappointment feels overwhelming, but each challenge overcome quietly strengthens your confidence. You begin trusting your ability to recover instead of fearing every possible obstacle. This shift changes the way you approach life. You become less afraid of taking meaningful risks because you know that even if things do not go according to plan, you possess the ability to learn, adapt, and continue. Relationships improve because difficult experiences teach empathy and patience. Professionally, setbacks sharpen your judgment because experience replaces assumption. Personally, they create humility, reminding you that growth is a lifelong process rather than a final destination. Over time, you stop asking why setbacks happened only to you and begin asking what they are preparing you for. That question changes everything because it turns pain into perspective and disappointment into direction. Looking back years later, many of the moments that once appeared to be devastating failures become the very experiences that shaped your strongest qualities. They taught you resilience when comfort could not, discipline when success had made you careless, patience when urgency controlled your decisions, and wisdom that could never have been learned from easy victories alone. Create a life that reflects your values instead of other people's expectations, because one of the greatest mistakes a person can make is living according to a script that was written by someone else. Human nature naturally seeks acceptance. From childhood, we are influenced by parents, teachers, friends, culture, and society, all of which shape our understanding of what success should look like. These influences can provide valuable guidance, but they can also create invisible pressure to follow paths that do not truly belong to us. Many people spend years chasing careers they never wanted, maintaining lifestyles they cannot enjoy, or pursuing recognition that brings only temporary satisfaction because they believe meeting other people's expectations is the same as living a meaningful life. Over time, they discover that achievement without authenticity often leads to emptiness. You can possess everything the world admires and still feel disconnected from yourself if your daily choices are not aligned with your deepest values. Values are the principles that guide your decisions when no one is watching. They determine how you respond to success, failure, opportunity, and adversity. Integrity, honesty, discipline, compassion, responsibility, patience, and courage are not qualities that appear only during important moments. They are expressed through the small decisions you make every single day. Human psychology often encourages comparison because comparing yourself with others creates the illusion that happiness can be measured by possessions, popularity, or status. Yet comparison quietly steals peace because there will always be someone who appears wealthier, more accomplished, or more admired. If your identity depends on keeping up with everyone around you, satisfaction will always remain just beyond your reach. Creating a life based on your own values frees you from this endless competition. Instead of asking whether your choices impress other people, you begin asking whether they reflect the person you genuinely want to become. This shift transforms your priorities. You choose meaningful work over empty recognition. You value honest relationships over superficial popularity. You protect your peace instead of constantly seeking approval. Living according to your values also requires courage because not everyone will understand your decisions. Some people may question why you choose a different career, spend your time differently, or define success in a way that does not match their own beliefs. Human nature often fears disappointing others because rejection feels uncomfortable. However, sacrificing your authenticity to gain temporary approval creates a deeper disappointment that lasts much longer. Every time you ignore your own principles to satisfy someone else's expectations, you weaken your trust in yourself. Every time you remain faithful to your values despite criticism, you strengthen your character. Relationships become healthier because they are built on honesty rather than performance. The people who truly belong in your life respect your integrity instead of expecting you to become someone else for their comfort. Professionally, your work gains greater meaning because it reflects your purpose rather than your desire for recognition. Personally, you experience greater peace because your actions consistently match your beliefs. Over time, confidence grows naturally because you no longer divide your energy between who you are and who you think others want you to be. Looking back, you realize that the most fulfilling life was never about meeting every expectation placed upon you. It was about having the wisdom to choose principles over popularity, purpose over pressure, authenticity over imitation, and long-term meaning over short-term approval. By creating a life that reflects your values instead of other people's expectations, you build a future rooted in integrity, self-respect, and inner freedom, allowing every decision, every relationship, and every achievement to become an honest reflection of the person you consciously choose to become rather than a performance designed to satisfy the changing opinions of the world.